Saint Peter, the disciple, originally named Simeon or Simon, was the disciple of Jesus Christ and recognized in the early Christian church as the leader of the 12 disciples by the Roman Catholic Church as the first of its unbroken succession of popes. Peter, a Jewish fisherman, was called to be a disciple of Jesus at the beginning of Jesus' ministry. He received from Jesus the name Cephas, Peter, from Petros, a Greek translation of Kepha. The sources of information concerning the life of Peter are limited in the New Testament. The four Gospels, Acts, the letters of Paul, and the two letters that bear the name of Peter. He probably was known originally by the Hebrew name Simeon or the Greek form of the name Simon. The former appears only twice in the New Testament, the latter 49 times. The New Testament reports that Peter was unlearned in the sense that he was untrained in the Mosaic law, Acts 4 verses 13, and it is doubtful that he knew Greek. He apparently learned slowly and erred time and time again, but later, when entrusted with responsibility, he demonstrated that he was mature and capable. The Gospels agree that Peter was called to be a disciple of Jesus at the beginning of his ministry, but when and where the event took place is recorded differently in the several Gospels. Luke scarcely mentions James and John and omits Andrew while emphasizing the call of Peter. Matthew note the call of four men, with Luke agree that the event took place at the Sea of Galilee. The Gospel according to John places the call in Judea and states that Andrew, who had been follower of Saint John, had heard John indicate that Jesus was the Lamb of God, left John and introduced Peter to Messiah, who at that time gave him the name Cephas, Peter or rock. Peter was Jesus' closest friend and disciple and became an apostle during his ministry. After the death of Jesus, Peter became the leader of the apostles and is often described as their spokesperson in Gospels. Aside from his position as the most important apostle, legend has it that he held the keys of heaven and hell, which he received from Jesus Christ himself after he was made the leader of his new church. He is always mentioned first in the Bible and any other historical text because he was the representative of the 12 apostles. This shows how important Saint Peter was to Christianity. So, Peter was considered as one of the pillars of the early church, along with James and John. After Christ's crucifixion and resurrection, Peter began to preach his own version of Christ's teachings to everyone he could find. He began assuming the position of a leader and gathered a group of followers. He took his preachings far and wide as he set out on various missionary activities. His dedication and contribution to the teachings of Christ and the Church is why he was considered the first Pope of Rome. It is widely held that Saint Peter was the first Pope of Rome. He is believed to have founded the first church in Rome and laid the foundation for all future popes to come. All popes are generally considered as the successors of the saint. During the reign of Emperor Nero, a widespread fire was unleashed in Rome for which he blamed the Christians. This led to St. Peter's crucifixion at a site earlier known as Nero's Circus. He requested that he be crucified with his head pointing downwards because he didn't consider himself worthy enough to die the same way as Jesus. After St. Peter's death, he was buried on Vatican Hill, close to the site of his martyrdom. To honor his death, Emperor Constantine built a church over his tomb. This church existed for over 1200 years, after which it began crumbling, unable to restore through the repatriation. However, this site continued to remain as the final resting place of the saint. Today, St. Peter's tomb is located in Vatican City inside St. Peter's Basilica. It is large and ornate structure that is said to hold the remains of St. Peter. The tomb is located in the center of the church beneath the high altar. Thank you. Thank you for watching.